Imagine if the next headline you read could fundamentally change humanity's understanding of our place in the universe. That's exactly what might be brewing on Mars right now. Has NASA's Perseverance rover stumbled upon the smoking gun that proves we're not alone? The mystery deepens with each passing discovery, and the latest findings are absolutely mind-blowing. For over 3 years now, since its dramatic touchdown in February 2021, NASA's robotic explorer Perseverance has been methodically investigating one of the most fascinating locations in our solar system, Jezero Crater. This massive depression on the Martian surface isn't just any ordinary hole in the ground. Scientists believe this ancient basin once brimmed with water, forming a pristine lake that could have harbored life billions of years ago. Think of it as Mars's version of a primordial soup kitchen, where the ingredients for life might have once mingled and thrived. On September 10th, researchers dropped a bombshell that has the scientific community buzzing with excitement. They revealed how Perseverance uncovered some truly extraordinary minerals along Jezero Crater's western rim, specifically within the clay-laden mudstone formations of a valley dubbed Neretva Vallis. But here's where it gets controversial. These exact same minerals, when found on Earth, are almost always linked to organic matter and biological processes. Now, before you start planning your welcome party for our Martian neighbors, let's pump the brakes just a bit. The research team is being refreshingly honest about the limitations of their findings. They're essentially saying, hey, we found something incredible, but we can't definitively prove it's from alien microbes just yet. This cautious approach might frustrate some eager alien enthusiasts, but it's exactly the kind of rigorous scientific methodology that separates legitimate discoveries from sensationalized claims. What makes this discovery so compelling is that it demonstrates Mars once hosted remarkably sophisticated chemical reactions, regardless of whether life was involved. Every new finding adds another puzzle piece to the complex story of a planet that humans have been trying to understand since we first pointed telescopes at those mysterious red dots dancing across our night sky. Let's dive into the nitty-gritty details that have scientists practically vibrating with excitement. The samples that caught everyone's attention were extracted from something called the Bright Angel Formation, located within Neretva Vallis's northern boundary. Among all the specimens collected, one particular rock has become the star of the show, Cheyava Falls. When Cheyava Falls first made its public debut, it created a media sensation that rippled around the globe. Scientists couldn't contain their enthusiasm when describing this specimen's bizarre and captivating features. The rock displays peculiar spotted patterns that researchers playfully compared to poppy seeds and leopard spots. These millimeter-sized blobs, each encircled by distinctive black rings, contain iron and phosphate, a chemical combination that on our home planet typically results from microbial activity. David Flannery, an astrobiologist from Queensland University of Technology in Australia and a key member of the Perseverance science team, couldn't hide his amazement at the time. These spots are a big surprise, he declared with obvious excitement. On Earth, these types of features in rocks are often associated with the fossilized record of microbes living in the subsurface. For those unfamiliar with astrobiology, this is like finding a potential fingerprint at a crime scene. It doesn't prove guilt, but it certainly warrants a closer investigation. The logical next step was giving Perseverance the green light to conduct a more thorough examination of Cheyava Falls and its neighboring specimens within the Bright Angel Formation. On July 21, 2024, the rover took decisive action and actually drilled directly into Cheyava Falls, extracting what would become its 25th collected sample. This precious specimen earned the name Sapphire Canyon, continuing NASA's tradition of giving poetic names to their Martian discoveries. Morgan Cable, a dedicated research scientist working with the Perseverance mission, perfectly captured the tantalizing uncertainty surrounding this sample. I would describe the Sapphire Canyon sample as mysterious, she explained in a NASA video presentation. We see these signatures that tell us chemistry has happened, potentially involving organics, But what does that mean? Could life have been involved, or something that didn't involve life at all? This honest admission highlights one of the most frustrating yet exciting aspects of space exploration, the constant dance between discovery and uncertainty. And this is the part most people miss. The story doesn't end with sample collection. The recently published study represents a quantum leap forward in our understanding of the Bright Angel Formation through incredibly detailed analysis. The research team confirmed that this rocky outcrop could indeed represent a legitimate breakthrough in humanity's search for extraterrestrial life. According to the official research findings, scientists identified microscopic nodules and specks dramatically enriched with iron phosphate and iron sulfide. These features appear intimately connected to organic carbon and seem to have developed after the original sediment settled, under relatively cool temperature conditions. For beginners trying to wrap their heads around this concept, imagine organic materials getting buried in mud, then slowly interacting with minerals over millions of years, like a geological time-lapse photography session. The scientific smoking gun appears to be evidence of specific redox reactions that could have produced these intriguing minerals. Let me break down redox reactions in simple terms. Imagine a microscopic tug-of-war where electrons get passed back and forth between different substances. One substance gets oxidized, loses electrons, while another gets reduced, gains electrons. It's like a chemical dance that can either involve living organisms or occur through purely non-biological processes. The study authors make a compelling case. This organic carbon appears to have participated in post-depositional redox reactions that produce the observed iron phosphate and iron sulfide minerals. Translation: the organic material they discovered seems to have been actively involved in the chemical processes that created these fascinating mineral formations. But here's where things get really controversial. Janice Bishop from the SETI Institute and Mario Parente from the University of Massachusetts have published a companion analysis that makes some bold comparisons. They point out that on Earth, microorganisms routinely interact with minerals in ways that mirror what Perseverance might have discovered. In frigid, oxygen-deprived Antarctic lakes, for example, microbes regularly convert sulfates into sulfides through biological processes. There is no evidence of microbes on Mars today, the researchers candidly admit, but if any had been present on ancient Mars, they too might have reduced sulfate minerals to form sulfides in such a lake at Jezero Crater. This statement walks a fascinating tightrope between scientific caution and tantalizing possibility. The evidence pile keeps growing stronger with additional findings that support the biosignature hypothesis. The green-tinted specks embedded in the muddy clay formations might contain a mineral called vivianite, which could provide crucial insights into the specific types of redox reactions that occurred on ancient Mars. Think of vivianite as a geological witness that could testify about the chemical environment that existed billions of years ago. But here's the frustrating catch that has everyone grinding their teeth. Definitive confirmation requires getting those precious samples back to Earth for comprehensive laboratory analysis. Unfortunately, NASA's Mars Sample Return Program has hit some serious roadblocks. Budget constraints, shifting political priorities following administrative changes, and the sheer complexity of designing a mission to transport materials across 140 million miles of space have created a perfect storm of delays and uncertainty. This brings us to one of the most controversial aspects of modern space exploration. Are we letting bureaucratic limitations and financial concerns prevent us from answering one of humanity's most profound questions? The scientific community continues emphasizing that remote analysis, while impressive, simply cannot match the analytical power of Earth-based laboratories equipped with cutting-edge instruments. The study authors put it bluntly. Ultimately, the return of samples from Mars for study on Earth, including the Sapphire Canyon sample collected from the Bright Angel Formation, would provide the best opportunity to understand the processes that gave rise to the unique features described here. They're essentially saying that we're tantalizingly close to potentially revolutionary discoveries, but we need those samples in hand to cross the finish line. A companion analysis takes this argument even further. Laboratory analyses of samples returned from Mars could also cast light on the potential for prebiotic and even biological chemistry to occur on worlds beyond Earth. In other words, these samples might not just tell us about Mars, they could fundamentally reshape our understanding of how life emerges throughout the cosmos. So here's the million-dollar question that's keeping astrobiologists awake at night. Are we looking at fossilized evidence of ancient Martian microbes, or simply the byproducts of fascinating but lifeless chemical processes? The honest answer is that we're trapped in scientific limbo until we can get our hands on those samples. What do you think? Should humanity be investing whatever resources necessary to bring these samples home, or are we getting ahead of ourselves with premature excitement? Is the potential discovery of ancient Martian life worth the massive financial investment and technical challenges, or should we focus on other scientific priorities? And perhaps most controversially, if we do find definitive proof of past life on Mars, how should that change humanity's approach to space exploration and planetary protection? The conversation is far from over, and your perspective matters in shaping how we move forward with one of the most important scientific investigations in human history.